Hi, my name is George Bartlett. I'm an 18-year-old filmmaker, photographer and writer based in Birmingham. How I got here, this started when I was 8 years old and I received a Hi.8 camera. I started shooting films with my friends and editing them on a crappy PC that I had. And then as I progressed, I went to a couple of film courses down in London, bought some new equipment, started shooting on mini DV. Then in the last couple of years gone over to digital, and everything's progressed since there. So since I was young, the technology's grown and I've just grown with it. I started shooting photos about 3 years ago and started writing about 2 years ago. The reason I do what I do, my passion for telling stories through a visual medium, again, started when I was young. I think cinema is amazing, and there's just something magic about being in the cinema full of people with a huge moving image in the screen. And cinema can change perceptions, it can change the way people think about life, people think about their everyday doings really. And fiction allows people to exit reality and just enter a world, even if for 20 minutes, and just escape what we're in. My influences are people from David Lynch to Spike Jonze to Tarantino, Hitchcock and Chaplin. I feel that I've taken a lot of inspiration visually and story-wise from these filmmakers, and I'm in the process and have been for, since I was young, forming my own style and way of telling stories. I'm in the in-house production facilities, and this is a great space to shoot things like multi-camera pieces, where I can roll all the cameras and shoot anything that needs a multi-camera setup with just me and maybe one other person. It's great for controlling the light if I need to do monologues or pieces of camera or interviews or whatever. So yeah, it's a great space to work in. Okay, this is our first camera, our main camera for our master shot of the interview that I'm about to shoot with Job Karam. One thing I want to note is headroom. That's good headroom. That's bad headroom because he's got no headroom. And that's bad headroom unless you're like making an indie British film, because he's got too much headroom. But if you're going for a standard interview, about that much headroom is cool. So yeah, that's headroom. What am I doing right now? I'm working on a short experimental film called 3, and I'm playing with a couple of ideas for feature films. It starts with the seed of an idea, and then I will draft a screenplay and redraft it till I'm happy with it. Then I'll go scanning for actors. I don't enjoy holding auditions because I prefer to see if the actor will fit my character before I even approach them, and then see if they can act. And then work with the actor intensely, working out the character, doing auditions of the scenes. And then we'll go on to location or into a studio shoot depending on what we need. Block the scene, and then run through the scene with the actor, make sure the lines are going okay. And then we'll shoot over and over again until it's perfect. And then take the footage into the edit suite, do an offline. I'll log the footage first, do an offline edit. Once I'm happy with that, I'll show the actor, because I like to work personally with as few actors as possible. And then once they're happy with that and I'm happy with it, we'll go to online, colour grade it, do music, and then output. And then once a project is finished, I don't really like to linger on it too much. I just want to start a new project and get on, and that's how things start, and that's how things have been going for a while. It's always good to have a second camera if you shoot an interview, so you can cut between them to keep things dynamic instead of just watching a boring person talk for like 10 minutes or however long the interview is. So again, headroom applies, everything applies, but with the second camera, I like to go closer or pull a wide of maybe the whole studio. But yeah, it's pretty basic really. Just get another shot in case something happens, but also to keep things dynamic while you're cutting into together. I started off using, as I said, Hi.8 camera, then I went to Mini DV, and then I bought a Sony PD150, which in my opinion is one of the best cameras ever made. It's a shame that it's in standard definition, because if it was in HD it would take over the world. And then I moved from a PD150 to a Sony Z7, which again shoots to tape, but it's got a CF card on the back, so I can shoot CF in digital. And I also use a Canon 600D in the past 2 years since the DSLR sort of revolution kicked off. So I jumped on the bandwagon there, and I edit on Final Cut or Premiere, and I'm starting to use Avid now. What does the future hold for me? This time next year I'm planning to move to Berlin, because they've got a great art scene out there, and I'm looking to kickstart my career as a filmmaker and a writer. And I hope that in 5 years' time I'm either recognised as an up-and-coming filmmaker and writer, photographer, whatever, or I'm on my way to being there. I'm looking at university, but that's another option. There are so many things I could be doing this time next year. One last thing about lighting. Your indoor lighting setup can make or break the footage that you get, and don't ever think you can fix lighting in post, because you probably can't. So yeah, just make sure you're using a basic 3-light setup, unless you're going for something more stylized. Use anything you can. If you haven't got too many lights to reflect, tinfoil works. And yeah, just don't underexpose and don't overexpose. So yeah, just keep your lighting, keep your scene drenched with light, because you can't fix it. The future of cinema and filmmaking, I don't think I'm really in the position to make any statements about it, but I think it's both good and bad that filmmaking has become democratized by the DSLR revolution, as they call it. But I think that it allows kids and everyone to get their hands on cameras and to make films, which is a good thing, but it also slows down the process of seeing who is really, who's good at what they're doing and who's just got a camera and a nice shallow depth of field because they've got a nice lens. And yeah, I think filmmaking is an industry that's thriving as good as it's ever been. The only bit of advice that I've got for someone perhaps wanting to go in the same direction as me, or going in the same direction as me, or any filmmaker, just keep making films, because there's no excuse not to now. We don't have to shoot on film and edit on film, we can shoot on digital. So yeah, no excuse, just keep making films. My work is available for everyone to see online. Go to my website at cactusthief.com and follow me at George_Bartlett.